But first, Paul Gigot.
What a lineup, Dan.
Great lineup.
At least after me.
Yeah, well, the big lineup is in Alabama and Mississippi. And the thing that has struck me about it, Paul, is that the three, well, I don't know what you would call them, the three primary candidates, I guess.
Right, that's what they are.
Romney, Gingrich, and Santorum are neck and neck.
Fascinating, isn't it?
It is absolutely fascinating. The expectation was that Romney would fall off the pace in the Deep South, but it hasn't happened.
No, and it hasn't, and it's a huge opportunity for him for that reason. He called the South an away game not too long ago for him, and you would think that that would be the case. He's done best in New England and then narrowly beating Santorum in Michigan and Ohio. But if he can win one of these two, boy, that would be a big step towards the nomination, because it would show that he can win in the South, and it would really hurt Rick Santorum, who needs both of these states to carve into that delegate lead that Romney's piling up.
Yeah, well, I had expected he probably wouldn't be able to, because he has had such trouble in the other southern states with evangelical voters.
Yes, that's right, and who knows, that might show up in the exit polling as well. But you know,
but where's his strength coming from, do you think?
It's coming from where it's come from. I think in a lot of the other states, which is party regulars. There's a contingent of Republicans in the South. Remember, the Republican Party in the South has become a majority party. It's more diverse than it used to be. It's not just a bunch of yellow dog Democrats. It's got an awful lot of really well-off suburban voters, make a lot of money, do well, successful professionals in places like Birmingham, Alabama, and a lot of parts of Mississippi. So it's a more diverse Republican Party than the cliche has it, and he's getting a lot of those suburban voters.
Yeah, our friend Michael Barone wrote a piece over the weekend I thought was kind of interesting, suggesting that Mitt Romney may be pulling back some of these upper middle class white voters who had been slipping away from the Republican Party, but may feel more comfortable with a businessman like Mitt Romney.
It's an interesting thesis, and it's showing up in the exit polls. You know, they're getting Rick Santorum in Michigan and Ohio doing very well among among voters who don't have a college degree, among those who make less than $100,000. And the more populist elements of the party. Mitt Romney is winning among party regulators, those who have a college degree or a postgraduate degree, and those who are really quite successful. So, you know, and the collar counties around Philadelphia, around Chicago, around Detroit, other cities have been moving away, as Barone suggests, from the Republican coalition in the last 15, 16 years. If Romney can win some of those back, then maybe you have a possibility of beating Obama.
Yeah, but first he's got to get through the Deep South, which by and large doesn't reflect those kinds of demographics. Are we going to see, I think it might be the third, or maybe the fourth.
Well, you wrote him off in our TV show about a month and a half ago.
I'm sticking with it, too.
I think you'll probably be right.
I don't think Newt is coming back, but he could put on a pretty good show down there tomorrow night.
Well, if he wins one of the two, it'll really hurt Santorum, because Santorum wants those two states to be able to show, look, I'm the conservative alternative. It's between me and Romney. If Newt climbs his way back into that ring and wins one of the two, then he has just as big a claim as Santorum does to stay in. Even though in the national polls now, if you look at the national poll on the Republican primary elected, it's really a Romney-Santorum race. But this could get Gingrich back in the game. But the guy who would be happiest would be Romney if he can win one of them, and then Gingrich wins the other.
Yeah, well, let's say that Romney does win one, Paul. Do you buy the argument that it is mathematically impossible for Santorum or Gingrich to win this nomination in terms of the delegate vote?
Not if you put it that way. Not mathematically impossible. Is the math becoming increasingly difficult for anybody else to overcome? Yes. I think we're at the point where neither of the other two can get the majority of the delegates themselves, but they can deny it to Romney. But they're going to have to break through in a lot of these states. I mean, just take the weekend. The headlines were right. Santorum wins Kansas. Picks up, by one count I saw, 33 delegates. Romney only 7. But then Romney ran the table in that great bellwether Guam, you know, the American Virgin Islands, the Marianas. But the point in the delegate race is that all but offset the advantage that Santorum got in Kansas. So it was a wash of a weekend, but that's an advantage for Romney.
Let me ask you one last question, Paul. there is this kind of assumption that if Santorum or Gingrich dropped out, all of their votes would go to the other. I'm not sure I agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, you'd have to consider, you think that the bulk of them would, but would all of them? I don't know. And again, it depends on how the campaign unfolded after that. These are a different dynamic, and you have to, let's remember, Gingrich really didn't contest Ohio, really didn't contest Michigan.
Yeah.
So Santorum did. And Ron Paul was there to pick up some cats and dogs too. But basically this was seen in those two states as a one-on-one fight between Romney and Santorum. And Romney beat him, narrowly, but he beat him.